stay bearded, stay feeling. It's BV, it's BV, BV, it's BV,
Yeah.
it's BV, it's BV,
BV.
it's BV,
BV.
it's BV.
It's BV and Jellified, Jimmy Beam and Bly, reaching highest where we reach, yo, it's highest to the stars. Beats in the villain Jeep, vibrating other cars. Whose world is this? Yo, we say the world is ours. So we grow beards, no fear, photos so clear. Take another shot, so to speak, yeah, more beer. BV worldwide, put a fist to the sky. Cheers, cheers, New Year's, dope rhyme, good vibes. My crew speaks power, Chi-Town bleeds power. Knowledge, wisdom, and truth in the final hour. Respect, loyalty, family, charity speaks power. Bearded Villains, brotherhood speaks honor. Forwards and onwards, stay villain to the end. I will never shave again because my beard is not a trend. I represent excellence, leadership, and never follow. I'm a BBC member, yo, lieutenant of Chicago.
One brotherhood, one ship. Stay bearded, stay feeling. One brotherhood, one ship. Stay bearded, stay feeling. It's BV, it's BV, BV, it's BV, it's BV, it's BV, it's BV, it's BV. Yo, all I see.
Hey! Oh, no, thank you guys. Thank you. Thank you so much. No, really. Oh, guys. No, you don't need to do that for me. No, it's really, no. Oh, come on. Come on, you're kidding. Oh, it's great. Thank you so much. Yeah. Love you guys too. Thank you. Oh. Wow, what a reception. What a reception. Happy Friday the 13th, guys. Man. Oh, come on. Stop. Stop. You're just too loud. You're just too loud, people. Come on now. Okay. Let's simmer down. Simmer down a little bit now. Okay. Oh, guys. It is Friday the 13th. And my birthday. I love when my birthday falls on Friday. I love the 13th anyway, but I love when Friday the 13th rolls around on when it's Friday. It's always a unique and fun day for me. So welcome, guys. Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the live stream. This is The Heart of a Villain, the podcast and live stream devoted to the Bearded Villains Worldwide Brotherhood and the lives they are changing all over the world, guys. Oh, this is a fun night. First of all, I want to say thank you guys for tuning in. If you like beards, if you like men with beards, heck, I think even if you like women with beards, people with beards, and men doing good in the world, trying to make the world a better place, this is the place for you. All 56 other episodes are available. You can find them right here at theheartofvillain.simplecast.com. Audio form only, or you have to go to YouTube where you're at right now if you're on the live stream, and you can check all that other stuff out. We have done 56. This is episode 57 of The Heart of a Villain, guys, and I am super duper duper excited about that. The fact that we've done 57 episodes already, it's just incredible. And if you don't know me, I'm BP, otherwise known as Brian Phillips, the given name, but BP from Bearded Villains. Wait for it. Anyway, the host of Heart of a Villain. You'll get some more information later if you didn't already know. But hey, welcome, guys. Thanks so much for being here. Real quick, I want to say hello to a bunch of people who are here with us live. We love to see the live people chiming in. Can I talk today? People, and I really haven't had that much to drink today for celebratory purposes. I should be fine. But Rob, of course, we're just going to call him Rob with two B's. Robub is here as he always is over in the UK. In his early morning hours over there. But man, we appreciate you guys being here. Beard Life 91. This is always fun because you have to try and dissect who the people's YouTube tags are versus what their names are that we know them as in other forms. Jay, how you doing, buddy? Where Jay is Sharissa. We know she's here too. Meta. It's just more fun to call you Meta. It's just Meta. So Paro's in the house. Or do I need to trill my R's with that one? Hillbilly, how we doing tonight? He's over there in the UK also. And again, very, very early. So always happy to see these guys. They take the time out when everybody else is doing other things or sleeping. So, excuse me. So that's always awesome to see. Make sure of course, I wouldn't forget Gata. Gata's in the house. We love it. We love it. Yes, I have a packed, I have a packed basement, man. It's live. We're COVID. We're trying to be socially distant, but there's a few thousand of my closest friends here locally hanging out here in the basement. So thank you all for the birthday wishes that have chimed in on that. I do appreciate it. Wow. This today, guys, this is going to be a fun one. Well, maybe not. Let's put it this way. If you're tired of me already, go get your popcorn and get ready. Because I'm telling you, the idea behind this episode, what became this episode 57, was one that a brother of ours from Canada up north reached out to me and said, "Hey, I have an idea, and I wonder what you think about it." And so the idea formulated into, why don't we have a guest host for the podcast interview section, and the guest host would run things as far as the interview goes and interview me. I said, sure, let's do it. Let's go for it. So one of our bros, Ben Darling, got a hold of me about this, and really cool idea, I thought. And he got to turn the tables on me for once. And rather than, I know an earlier episode, I answered a few questions that people submitted, but this time out, old BP gets the run of the interview. I get stuck answering questions, and it's fun because I didn't have any knowledge beforehand what he was going to ask me. So I don't even know. Looking back on it, I'm not even sure if my answers made any sense. But as you know, these are pre-recorded interviews, and I do that so that if something happens last minute, I have the interview ready to go. And on more than one occasion, as you guys know, that's happened before. So it's always great for me to be able to get the interviews scheduled up, and when I'm able to get them scheduled in advance. And plus, because this started out as audio only, as a podcast primarily only, and then we incorporated the live stream aspect into it. So, of course, when you're making a podcast, your interviews are recorded anyway. So the audio form is absolutely bread and butter. It goes back to the bare bones. It's where we come from. It's where the Heart of a Villain started. And so I have to pay homage to that and make sure that we do good, solid interviews with good quality audio. So we will see if you guys actually get something out of this interview that's coming up in a few minutes. But hopefully you do, because I had a lot of fun talking to him. Of course, I have a lot of fun chit-chatting away with any of our brothers that I interview. So that's always fun. Breaking news. Well, not really breaking news, but breaking news for tonight. If you didn't already know, hey guys, this is so fun. We have 2 more chapters, at least, that I know of. 2 that I know of, and there may be others that I don't know of. But as things are with Instagram, it's hard to keep up sometimes. But 2 new chapters have come up over the last week, and one of them's my own. Hey, fun stuff. But first one that came across was Austin, Texas, a new chapter down in Texas, adding to the huge stockpile of chapters that they have in that very, very large state. So now they have one in Austin now. So Bearded Villains, Austin, Texas, Austin TX. Very cool stuff. And then, as we just announced on Wednesday, 2 days ago, we here in Indiana added a 3rd chapter to our ranks as we entered into a new realm. And now we are up here in the northern part of the state We are the Bearded Villains, Northern Indiana. So now, the original, the OG chapter in Indiana, Bearded Villains, Indiana. Then we have Bearded Villains, the Southern Indiana, and now Bearded Villains, Northern Indiana. And I don't have a fancy music clip for this, but I was chosen as captain, which I'm very excited about. I'm super stoked to be able to lead these guys. I have some really awesome guys in this chapter. I'm really excited about. Their hearts are in the right place. Their minds are in the right place. It's all about doing for others. And I'm really excited to be able to see where this chapter can take us and where we can take the chapter, because I think it's going to be a two-way street. I think the chapter itself is going to, just the existence of the chapter is going to push us in some really cool ways. So I'm really looking forward to that. Don't ask about merch stuff yet. Don't ask about all that stuff. We'll get into that. We'll cover that eventually. But just excited with the breaking news of this week. We've known about it. It's coming for a little while. We're finally able to talk about it. So there it is. Bearded Villains, Northern Indiana. I'm just really excited about that. Also, yesterday, those of you who know me well, and those of you watching live on the YouTube can see over the back of my head my Colts helmet over there on the back shelf. And of course, in celebratory purposes, I'm wearing my Colts jersey tonight because holy cow, did they have a great game last night. That was fun. I was really worried that it was going to be a letdown test, but they proved themselves right. And I don't normally talk about stuff like this on the podcast, but I don't care. It's my birthday. Deal with it. So I'm excited. Hey, took over first place. Who knows how long that's going to last, but for one night, for 1 week, we can be happy with that. So really exciting stuff, guys. So do you want to get into the interview now with Ben, with Mr. Darling? Had a little bit of fun doing the camera swapperoo with him and doing some back and forth with him. But yeah, we're hanging tight. So let's do this, guys. I'm going to swing right in to this interview now. Keep the chat going. Those of you who are here live, if you have any questions or anything else, I'm going to follow up. I realized after the fact that some of the things that he asked at the very beginning of the interview, we didn't get back to. So I'll make sure I talk about that a little bit also as time goes on, right after we do this. But we're going to kick it off, guys. Hope you enjoy this. A little bit of behind the scenes with old BP and, well, an interview by Ben. So let's enjoy. This week, we're going to be trying to do something a little different, and I'm going to bring somebody in for just a second, then I'm going to let him take control of this interview segment. So Ben Darling from Bearded Villains OSE. Buddy, how are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. BP, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Listen to me talking. Buddy, how you doing, buddy? I'm just excited.
You sound like one of us.
Look out, eh? I'm excited, though, because you had a really cool idea. So just real quick, tell our viewers what you had this idea for, and then I'm going to switch it over and let you take control and just go from there, man.
Okay, so I just thought it would be a little bit interesting. You've got the show every week. Everybody gets to hear everybody else's answers to these questions, but nobody really gets to hear from you, gets to hear who is BP, where did this come from, and what are some of his great memories that, every week we all give ours. It's a good chance for you to be able to give back and to hear your side of things. So that's what I'm looking forward to asking, and I'm sure others are looking forward to hearing.
Okay, well, I appreciate it, man. So I'm going to switch this to your solo camera, and then we'll swap roles and take it from there. So here you go.
Hey, everybody. So as BP was saying, I'm Ben Darling from OSE here in Canada. We're going to do a little something different tonight. We're going to welcome a special guest host, the new captain of Northern Indiana. We're going to welcome BP to the show tonight and hear what he has to say about their chapter, the future, and how he feels. How you doing, BP?
I'm doing great, Ben. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
No, thanks.
Or I guess we're having you this time.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. How's life up in Canada?
Things are good. It's starting to get a little cold, but I'm sure it's similar where you are.
Not as cold as it is in Canada, though.
That's true. We had a good this week. We were in the 70s most of the week, but today dipped a little low again. So it's a matter of time.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, I look forward to seeing all your snow stories and different things that pop up before. It usually happens about 3 to 4 weeks before we start to get the bad stuff here. So,
We've had 2 snowfalls already. First one was about 2 weeks ago.
oh, okay. Well, nope, not us. We had a little dusting one night, but it lasted about a half hour, 45 minutes, and it didn't collect on the ground. So,
Yeah, our first one was a good whiteout, lasted an hour and a half. It was gone by morning, but it was enough to go, oh, it's time.
I don't envy that. I don't want it at all. I'd be fine if I didn't have to use my snowblower at all, but I've never had that since I've lived up here. So,
That's the one thing I like about the apartment. At least I don't have to deal with that.
no kidding. No kidding.
There's a lot of downfalls, but that's one good one.
Oh, I hear you. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I only had to get the snowblower out like 2 or 3 times last year. I think we actually had a moderate winter as far as snowfall goes. The cold was a different thing, but the snowfall was pretty light for what we usually get. So I live in the snow belt right here in the northern part of the state, where we have about a 10-mile window right off Lake Michigan, and it comes right down on us. So you go 10 miles to the east or 10 miles to the west, and you may not get more than a half inch, and then we'll get doused with like 10 inches. So lake effect snow, you just love it.
If you didn't get that last year, you'll pay for it this year.
Shut up. I don't want to think like that. I don't want to think like that. I still haven't got my snowblower ready for the year yet. I gotta do that this weekend. I know I am. That's okay. That's okay.
So I know I put out a request for a couple of questions. A few people responded, but one of the main ones was, what is your background? Where did you come up with the idea to do something like this? And have you been in this sort of arena before, or is this all new to you?
Relatively new to me. I didn't have any real experience in, doing stuff like this, interviewing or doing anything related to podcasting or anything like that. What I did have was experience being in front of people. I spent most of my high school and college life performing in music groups, different things like that on stage. So that part of it, putting myself out there, was never really a foreign thing to me. And I didn't really do it much after college, except for like singing in church and stuff like that. And then there was a singing contest that came up. It was modeled after American Idol that came up locally. They called it Who's Your Star? And the premise behind it was that they would audition people to sing, and then they would choose 10 finalists, 10 in a youth, or 5 in a youth division, 5 in an adult division. And they would decide, they would get to the finale thing was that they were chosen to sing a song of their choosing with the symphony orchestra on stage. So that was kind of a cool idea. And nobody at the time, I was working as a police officer. I had been for, I want to say, about 3 or 4 years. And nobody at the police department had any clue that I liked to sing or did anything like that. So that was a big surprise to everybody I worked with when I auditioned for this thing, because they publicly put out like flyers and posters of the people that audition. And when you're selected as a finalist, which I was that year, then they put out like the audio clips of your audition. And one of the guys at work got a hold of my audition clip and was playing it over the PA system at work. And it was just kind of crazy. But yeah, I've never really had, I've never done anything like this, the podcast life or anything like that. It was just an idea I had shortly after, as I was trying to gain my bearings within the world of BV. And I thought, I was asking around to guys, we're in this YouTube technological, everything, everything's technology based era that we were living in. And this was 2017, when I was still hopeful. And I was just kind of asking around, hey, what is there any way that we can find out about all these other chapters around the world? No, just kind of look at their Instagram pages. Well, knowing what there's over 100 at that time. I figured there were about maybe 150 chapters around the world, and I didn't know to search out every one of those. I mean, I could try, but unless, unless you stay on top of that stuff, you don't really. And it's just like any other social media feed. It doesn't give you everybody. It just gives you the stuff that it thinks you might be interested in. So you're gonna miss a lot of stuff. And so I thought, there's some. Every once in a while, you'll hear about some chapter XYZ doing something kind of cool, but we don't hear about it till it's really late. We don't hear about it until in some cases it's weeks or months later. And if it was something that we might have wanted to participate in or attend or donate to or something like that, there was no way for us to find out about it. And plus, I thought it was a really cool idea that we could, if there was some type of a podcast or something like that out there that could promote not only what different chapters were doing, but some of the really cool stuff that the different guys out there in the Bearded Villain community are doing. Not to brag about what they're doing, because I haven't met a guy yet in my interviews that really wanted to, push themselves or their own agenda out there. A lot of times what I find is that it's me begging them, hey, can you please let me interview you? And, well, I really don't like to talk about myself. I understand that, and then I have to there's some convincing. But for me, it was just, I ran into a few guys that said, you don't want to do that. Nobody does podcasting, and nobody, people tried that and it failed. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to try this because it's something I've always wanted to do. I had the only thing remotely close to this that I ever did, my sophomore year in high school, I took a radio, TV, film class, and the very first part of the class was radio. Now, this was back in 1990, I want to say. So well before
I was born.
Yeah, well before some of the people listening to this were born, but most in their childhood. But back in 1990, they didn't have. You think back. This was pre-cell phone. This was before digital media at all. Really, you had analog tapes that people were shoving in, and the biggest medium at the time was CDs. But we were still radio stations, and the things like that. We're still using records in some cases. And so the fancy ones were using the CDs. So at this class that I took, we were actually told we had to train ourselves on how to do intros and outros and segues between songs using this record and this record. And we have like the kind of like the DJ style, turntable system where you have two turntables on it. And we would do one, and they'd have to teach us how to wind it back to make it line up with this song here. And then we'd talk on the air. We would, have to record ourselves with a old-fashioned recorder, and it was a lot of fun. But for me, I just wanted to talk. I wanted to have the fun, do the DJ stuff. And at the time, they had a requirement that you had to take some national exam. I don't know if that's still the case. Maybe somebody here could tell me that's watching this. But there was I think it was a national organization that required you, if you're going to be on the radio, you had to take this national exam. And I had no interest in learning about gigawatts and how powerful radio stations were and all this other stuff that you had. I just wanted to talk and spin some music. And so I only lasted in that class for like a semester. I took the pre-test for it, and I failed that pre-test so miserably it wasn't even funny. And I was like, I guess this isn't for me. So this was kind of a chance for me to kind of relive my childhood dream of talking in front of people and doing the old, hey, this is BV, WKRP, and so, which was WKRP.
And it's worked out, because as you said, a lot of people have tried the podcast thing before. It hasn't worked, but since you've started doing it, there's a lot of BV guys that have came back at it and given it another try with learning from what you've done, because you seem to have it, I'm not going to say fully figured out, because we've seen there's some learning curves.
Oh, there are. Yeah, absolutely.
But a lot of the guys are getting back into it, and it's really good inspiration for them to do it. So I'm glad that you've done that.
Thank you.
Now, speaking of segues on that, one of the questions I was told to ask you was, would you consider branching out in podcasts and doing a sleep time podcast, because you have a very soothing radio voice?
Sleep time. What would a sleep time podcast be?
Most of them are people just like reading stories for people to go to sleep to.
Okay. I could try that. I've never been asked that.
I figured not. I got the question, and I was like, well, I'll see how he reacts to it.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I could put it out there and see if anybody would listen to it, but I don't know. I'll just pick a book and start reading it, I guess. I don't know.
That's my girlfriend listens to one every night, and that's exactly what it is. It's a guy that
Oh.
just pulls like storybooks out of a hat and reads people to sleep.
You know what's funny though with me is that like I actually have one of the things that I'm learning to do behind the scenes here with BP is I have these scripts. These are actual scripts that I have because I'm going through training right now for voiceover work, and it's something that I can do for a career that I could do from home. And but what's funny, what I found about it is unless you read, when I say read, I mean really read, where you not just speed read through a book, but when you try to correlate what you see with what you want to say and talk out your mouth, you lose that skill. And I find myself having to go through some of these things 3 and 4 times for just 2 or 3 sentences before I don't stumble over the words. So I don't know how that would go for me to try and read a book. It might take me 18 hours just to recite 30 minutes of content for somebody to hopefully fall asleep to. And then
if you're lucky they're asleep and they don't notice.
Yeah, well, then what would I do? Get to the 30-minute mark and go, please rewind. I mean, please.
Got to start somewhere.
So, hey, it'd be fun. It'd be worth a shot. I guess I'd have to take some requests as far as what books people want me to read. And I'm sure if I did that, I would probably get some very interesting requests.
Yeah, that's probably fair.
Miss March likes to.
I mean, if it's what you fall asleep to, it's whatever works.
Whatever works, man. I'm all for it. I'm about helping the people. I'm a man of the people. If they want that,
exactly.
then I'll try to do it. Very cool.
So speaking of a man of the people, I hear you have some very exciting news this week.
Yes. We just announced it. Yesterday we actually got the seal. The seal was awarded apparently earlier than that, but we just got it yesterday. We are now here in the northern part of Indiana. We are the Northern Indiana chapter. So we have 3 chapters now in Indiana. We have Bearded Villains Indiana, the original, and then the chapter that branched off in 2019, Bearded Villains of Southern Indiana, and now Bearded Villains of Northern Indiana. If I had a sound effect, I would play it for you, but I don't. I wasn't prepared to play a fancy sound effect for you there, but I don't think I even have one. I could do this, but that's not really a cheering sound effect. But yeah, so Bearded Villains of Northern Indiana, and we're really excited because we already have been working with some charity organizations pre-COVID up here. Our small little group of guys, there's actually a couple organizations that have different chapters around the state in Indiana. And so our northern guys have been able to partner up with some of the local, charity organizations up here and do our own little thing if we are not able to get together as a whole state before. So we're going to continue those kind of relationships, and we've got a really strong group of guys that are excited to just kind of get out there and really, really, really make a difference in the community. So we're excited.
So how many guys are you starting with?
Well, we're starting with, technically speaking, right at this second, we're starting with 6 patch villains. We have a 7th that's should be getting his patch any day now. And then we already have, we have 2 hopefuls that have been hopefuls for some time now. And they're ready to, they're going to be coming up here before too long, I'm sure. So we're going to be pushing 10 real soon. We got in under the curve of the mandate for 10 to start. So
I wondered, you must have just slid in under that.
we did. We slid under it. We're probably one of the last ones that got in there, but yeah, it's exciting because we've got, just in the last like 2 months, we've had other people that are friends of brothers of ours that are already in the chapter, that have been reached out to, and they're hearing about Bearded Villains. People are excited. They want to find out more about us up here. We really haven't, aside from a couple of little tiny pockets here in Northern Indiana, we haven't really had a chance to expand and let people know about us. So Bearded Villains Indiana has been around for, since 15, but it's funny that because it's all been centrally located pretty much over that time period here in the northern part of the state, even as we've started to grow membership up here, people just don't know. And so we're excited to be able to push the message out and let people hear from us.
Yeah, it makes a big difference, and that will happen. Like, we're the same way here. We cover lots of ground. We've been around for over 2 years, but really our population is kind of two towns, and the rest of it we haven't really even had a chance to expand. So I'm sure you guys will find the same thing. Once things are a little bit back to normal, it's almost like having to take a road trip to go, cover the ground, get your faces out there, do some flag pictures, and get the curiosity flowing, and then you'll start raising your numbers from there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for us, I know Indiana's kind of a deceiving state because north to south, it's like 5.5 to 6 hours, top to bottom, but it's deceivingly wide from what it looks like. So it's like 3 hours, 3.5 hours, depending on which part of the state and which roads you have to travel, because it's not always a direct path. So we have some areas that are going to be considered like northern Indiana, but like I'm right up just south of Michigan, almost smack dab in the middle of the state, just beneath the lake, beneath Lake
Okay.
Michigan. But from me to get to say like Fort Wayne, Indiana, which is in the upper third of the state, but it's over toward Ohio. That's a 2 hour, just over 2 hour drive for me from here, but I'm still easily an hour from the west border, from where I live as well. So it all depends on the roads and everything else. So we may have north to south. We have about an hour window where we're covering areas, but east to west we have a several hour drive, and so our guys are kind of spread out. But it's nice because we can cover more of an area.
Yeah. So is that sort of how you're going to plan on expanding? Is doing some sort of group get-togethers and stopping points along the way, and letting people see you're there?
Yeah, we've actually, even with COVID, we've actually done a pretty decent job of at least trying to get together once a month or so. Even, I mean, as far as even when the places that were secured for COVID purposes were only letting like 10, 15 people together, we would still, since that's all we had, we would still try to get together like once a month at least, just to hang out at a restaurant when they were opened up. I know in the
Okay.
spring, earlier in the spring, I had the design to have all the guys that were in this part of the state for sure, and then I invited, of course, everybody else from the chapter to come up to my house for a barbecue, and that was, I want to say, in June, and we actually ended up with one of the guys from Michigan heard about it, and I was like, "Yeah, come on down." And then next thing I knew, they had 7 guys from Michigan coming down to hang out with us. So we had a good 2 chapters, almost 3 chapters, and it was a great time, man. But yeah, so we're just gonna do what we can, and we're just gonna hang out. We've already got 3 or 4 businesses that we routinely go to. That like we walk in the door and they're like, "Hey, the Bearded Villains are here," so we love that.
Yeah, that makes a big difference for sure. I keep forgetting your guys' COVID things are so much different than ours, because get-togethers here have been. It's almost like teenage parties. You got to sneak behind the fences and hope you don't get caught.
Yeah, I've heard about that. Now I will say this: we're probably paying the price for that because, as you've probably heard, here in the States, it's the numbers have gone up, and I know in our state for sure, things have started to go back up drastically. And so, we've always tried to be smart about things. We've still worn masks, and if we're eating, we would, we're still, we take the mask off while we're eating, but we try not to, go against the mask protocols if we can avoid it. But now it's like our schools had opened up to doing like half in person, half out of half at home. But starting next week, most of the schools, at least in this area, are going back to all virtual again. So just to be safe. So we're getting locked back down, probably to where you guys have been this whole time.
I think it's a matter of time for us, because when the first wave hit, we never cleared 1,000 cases a day for Ontario. We hit almost 1,500 today. So we're
Oh,
even with the lockdowns that we have had, things are ramping back up again. So I think it's a matter of time. We've got our Black Flag shoot December 5th, and I'm hoping we don't get locked down at least until December 6th.
there you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's going to be a behind the scenes hush hush thing.
That's what our last meet was. We had a meet a couple weekends ago, and it was meet in somebody's backyard. Everybody park on the side streets, and everybody shut your mouth if you hear a car coming.
Yeah, that's funny. That's funny.
And I mean, there was only 8 of us there, but it was still enough that you just didn't want the attention
Oh yeah.
coming.
There's always going to be somebody that's be like, "Hello, police. There's 7 people gathering in my neighbor's backyard, and they're not
Yeah.
related." Yeah. There's always that one person. So, oh well.
Well, especially if we were doing pictures, like some of the guys wanted pictures without masks, and it was like, all right, hide in the corner. Go ahead and do it, but go over there. I'm not associated with you. You rebel.
But you know what? It's nice to have them without the masks on, but at the same time, 5 years from now, even a couple of years from now, we're going to look back on this as something that we lived through, and it's we're not talking about like the Great Depression or anything here. We're not talking about something crazy, but it is something that even like I know my parents, have said this is nothing that I've lived through. There was the polio here in the States. I don't know if that was worldwide or not, but polio was a pandemic when my dad was about 5, and he says he vaguely remembers that, but in all of his life, he's never experienced something like this either. So it's something that we'll look back on as, we lived through it in this weird time that we were in. And I think photographs and group photos that even with masks on, I think that's going to be a nostalgic thing. That's going to be like, yeah, that's what we had to do. That was the way of things back then. So we'll look back on it 10 years from now and laugh at it. But
well, it sends a strong message too. As you said, 5 years from now, we'll be able to say, okay, this is how strong the brotherhood stood, and this is all the guys still getting together, still doing what's important, still being there for each other. Yes, we had to change some things, we had to do some things out of the norm, but we still did it, and that's what's really going to matter.
Yep, absolutely.
And I think for a lot of hopefuls, then they're going to look at that and go, "Wow, that alone says a lot about what this group really is and really represents."
Yeah, to me, that's been one of my favorite things about. I mean, if there is a plus that's come out of the pandemic, is that I know the first couple of months, every chapter out there was kind of like, okay, what now? We were starting to cancel events, and guys were getting sad and depressed about things, but then there was that period sometime around March, April, May, where chapters started realizing, okay, wait a minute, we can still do this, this, and this. It's not what we wanted, but we can still make a difference. And little by little, you started seeing other chapters around the world start to do the same thing and fall in line and start to figure out there's still little ways that we can do stuff. And that's what's made me so proud about the Brotherhood in this time when so many other places have just kind of washed their hands of 2020. So many of our chapters and our brothers have said, you know what? Yeah, it's been a bad year, but by gosh, we can still make a difference. And we have. So that's been really inspiring for me to see.
So when will we see Northern Indiana merch coming out?
Oh, I knew this question was coming because I always ask it myself. Well, tomorrow. No, I'm kidding. Not tomorrow. It's going to be a bit, and I'm trying to follow the advice of a few very wise people, and one of them being Morgan and a few others that I've talked to. And you hear the suggestion a lot of times, don't be in such a hurry to just create a logo just to do it. You want something that's going to represent what you are, what you want to be about. But you also want to be, have something out there and that's you're excited about and that you're going to be happy with for at least a few years for sure. So it's important for me. And the other thing too is that, yes, I'm the captain of the new chapter, but it's extremely important for me to not do the whole choose different things by one person's vote. I want everybody to have some input because everybody's taking a part in this new chapter. And so I want to do the whole round robin thing and get different people's ideas because I know guys are going to have all sorts of different ideas out there about logo ideas and what we can add to it. So I want it to be a conglomerate of all people's ideas. And so, I mean, I have some ideas of my own and I know some other guys do too. And it's probably going to be longer than we would wish and probably longer than other people would wish because it's always exciting to see new chapters, logos, and merch. But
yeah, I got excited when you said tomorrow. But...
Yeah, no, sorry. That would be fun though. But it's we'll definitely get it out as quickly as we can because we want it too. We would like to be able to have something that we can wear that's and we can show off as our own. But it's one of those things you just don't want to rush. So because you have seen it over the years, and you don't want to specify different chapters, but the ones that have had to experience that know, they know that problem and that issue that they've had with it is that you're quick to put something out, and then 6 months later, you're like, you know what, this would have been a cool idea. I'm not saying it's going to take 6 months, but it's going to be a little bit of a process. So it's going to probably be a few weeks at least, I'm sure.
Okay. Do you have any ideas? Like, is there anything special to your area that you think will be a part of it, or can you not tell us?
I don't, there's Indiana's such a weird area. There's so many different things that it could be anything. Then part of it is that I haven't even had a chance to really sit down with everybody yet. I've kind of taken this as this whole process as, don't count the chickens before they hatch, type of thing. So I've tried not to have a whole lot of discussions, and we really haven't. We haven't had a whole lot of discussions about all this kind of stuff about what are we going to do this, what are we going to do that. Those are conversations we're going to have here in the next few weeks. And hopefully with our guys, we're going to be able to sit down and start talking, start hashing some of this stuff out. We've got some ideas that we have shared virtually, during this time, but with different people's work schedules and different things like that, it's hard to really nail down a 4 or 5 hour period where you can just sit down and go, okay, we're gonna hash this out. And I don't want to. I just don't. The idea that it would be like 1 or 2 people that, okay, this is our logo, and the other guys don't really have much say so in it. I don't know. I'd at least rather them at least be able to see something that a couple guys came up with and said, what do you think about this?
Mm-hmm.
And, well, have you tried this? Okay, well, let's try a couple of variations of it and see how it looks, and so everybody has a little bit of say so in it, but that's the hope.
Yeah, so that's how we did ours. Was that I gave everybody a couple weeks to come up with their ideas, draft something up, and then put it to a poll. So that way, the whole chapter, as you said, had a say, and nobody felt like they, were left out or didn't get included. So then they look at it and go, "Oh, we could have done this." So everybody's got a chance to speak out on it.
Yeah, I've actually talked to a few chapters over the last year that have come up with either new logos or redesigned logos, and that's some of the best logos that you hear about. Is one guy has this idea, and then another guy was like, "Well, I had this idea," and they've found a way to put 2 or 3 different ideas together, incorporate a whole bunch of different things, and to me that's one of my favorite things to look at, these logos, the ones that are really, really intricate, that have like 2 or 3 different little hidden meanings in them, or at least they have something off to the side or some part of it like that means something special to them. I'm not sure what it means, but they wouldn't have put it there otherwise. And so
Yep.
that's always kind of fun for me.
Okay. So within your chapter, do you have any kind of specific charity directions, specific causes you want to go, any targets, or are you just open to aiming at everything and that's still up in the air? What means a lot to BP as a charity cause?
Ooh. Personally, if it's me, the very first organization that I know for sure the guys are going to be behind, that they want to continue our relationship with, is an organization that we've worked with here in the state before, both up here in northern Indiana and then also central Indiana. It's an organization called Sleep in Heavenly Peace, and I've mentioned it here before. It's an organization that basically builds beds for kids that don't have beds. And it's an issue that actually is much further spread than we know about. We don't realize how many kids actually are sleeping on a floor or a couch or a ratty mattress on the floor or just on the floor. And some of these homes that you go into, it's depressing, but at the same time, you're there and you're changing a kid's situation for good. And what's so cool about this organization is that they have a bed build day and then they have a bed delivery day, and they're usually about a month apart. And when they do a bed build day, it's like a community day. So you'll have 20, 30 volunteers, and it's just a piecemeal system. It's like a assembly line. And this area over here is responsible for cutting the pieces. This area here is responsible for drilling holes in the pieces. This area over here puts together the headboards. Then the final step is then they sand it over here. And then there's another step where they have a person that has a branding iron, and he brands the Sleep in Heavenly Peace logo in it. And then they put everything aside. And then through donations, they get donations for mattresses, all the bedding, pillows, everything. And so on bed delivery day, they have it scheduled up, and then they know we go and we're like, okay, we're gonna be going to 6 houses today, and we're gonna deliver a total of 4 bunk beds and 3 individual beds, and we bring those pieces in, screw them together, set them up, put all the sheets on the bed, so the kids are ready to take a nap right then and there if they want to, and to see their faces light up, and in many cases their first bed ever. There's nothing better, man. So that's obviously an organization we're going to continue with. But more to the point, I mean, specifically for me, I know Special Olympics is near and dear to my heart personally. So anything that I can do to help out with Special Olympics, I know any cancer initiatives are things that are very personal to some of our guys for obvious reasons for different people. Anything that involves veterans and kids, but there's so many different worthy places out there. And so it's going to be, the sad part about it is that you're going to have places that you want to help out, and you just may not have the time to do it exactly that you want to in year one. So we're going to get to as many as we can, and do what we can as often as we can.
Okay, so on the topic of charities and causes, of course, with Bearded Villains, there's been a bit of a rough year this year for mental health. As I'm sure you know, there's been a few mental health chats that have been started for brothers to be able to open up. Do you have any message that you would like to share with the members of those chats, either from you personally or on behalf of your chapter?
Specific to what?
Anything you want. I know a lot of the guys in the chat follow the podcast and are, they're excited to see a brother that's out and excited to see somebody talking about things. They have a lot of respect for you. And I was just wondering if you personally have any sort of a message to share or to pass on to the brothers, either in those chats or who haven't made it in those chats yet, but are struggling with things, who have a lot of respect for you and what you believe in.
Well, it's funny because I've heard some guys tell me, that I inspire some people for different things that we've come across or we've talked about here in the podcast a time or two. We've had some really strong episodes of the podcast where I've been reached out to after the fact by somebody that said, hey, I'd never heard of something like this before, but I love that episode and I'm going to try to do something like that in my area. They never thought about trying to do something like that. Those kind of stories I've heard that a few times, but it's the thing that I love most about the podcast for me is that I think it's inspired me far more than I've inspired anybody else. And I think that if people look back and listen to the different guests that we've had on the podcast, that to me is the most inspiring thing. I mean, we've got guys that have gone through some horrific things in their life. We've got some guys that have witnessed some horrific things, and they stay incredibly positive. We have guys that lift me up on a daily basis with their, the way that their demeanor and the way that they look at life. And for me, that's, there was a light switch flip thing that I always talk about that with me, and it was probably back in somewhere around high school, college age. And I just got to thinking about, kind of legacy and what you'll be remembered as, long after you're gone. And I realized that I don't want to be that guy that's, that people think of, well, was he really that happy? Did he ever, somebody once said that once somebody passed away, there was a celebrity that passed away and somebody was eulogizing them, and they said, the world is definitely a better place for knowing them, and I'm a better person for knowing them. And I think that's something that you always kind of strive for. You want to be, you want to leave this world better than you found it. And you want to be, and that can be via your family, the kids that you leave behind, the family you leave behind, the legacy of your work. and I think it's just really important to stay positive. People for the most part don't realize what they can do. You know, our guys can be incredibly inspirational without even knowing it. And that's one of my favorite things about talking to the different guys around. And if they just learn to reach out and talk to brothers, even in just a casual conversation, they'll find that they can be much more inspiring than they think they can be. Talking about brotherhood, talking about life. But like I said, one of my favorite things that I've found in life, and I've found again, and it's just strengthened my resolve in the theory of, is that those small things that you do can send ripples out and cause the greatest impact on other people that you don't even know about. And it's just an incredible thing to see. So that to me is my favorite part about what I'm able to do through the podcast and what I'm able to push in my life with the brothers that I've met, is just stay positive. You know, there's always going to be negativity, and I've pushed this for my kids too. You know, some of my kids are at a certain age where everything is woe is me, and I just try to tell them, why are you concerning yourself so much with what if? You're going to drive yourself crazy with the nervousness, with the unknown of what if. If what if happens, then let's deal with what if then. But until that happens, let's stay as positive as we can. Let's try to do things the best we can, and with the best attitude we can. But, you know, if something happens, okay, here it is. It's in front of us now. Let's tackle that thing. Let's not sit there and wallow in it. Let's go attack it. We'll get done with this, and we'll move on to the next thing. So, and I think that's so perfect for today, right now, with COVID and everything else. So let's just get out there and kill it.
Mm-hmm. That's a good, solid answer. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So what else do you have planned for the next while for the podcast? Do you have any special surprise? Well, I can't really tell us if there's surprises, but special themes coming up or anything you have planned?
I have an idea that one of the things, and I've got to do it just right because the timing of it would be weird if I don't plan it out really hard. Taking a page out of the Seinfeld TV show, I want to do an episode where I do it in complete reverse. There was an episode of Seinfeld where they did that, and the beginning was the end, and you didn't find out. And it obviously in TV format, it's a little different than it would be in podcast format. And it would be really strange for people that just listen to the audio form of the podcast, but it would be more interesting, I think, for the people that watch it on the live stream. But, you know, some of these things I do just because it makes me laugh and it interests me. So if it doesn't end up being the most critically acclaimed episode of the podcast or most listened to episode of the podcast, that's fine. I understand that. I know I have plans to come back and interview Fred Von Ox again. He was on my list. He was actually going to be my guest on episode 50, and because of some things that he had going on in his schedule with his life and moving and different things, that wasn't able to work out. So that'll be an episode down the road, because I want to pick his brain a little bit about what 2020's been like from his end of things, and where BV has been able to push through and pursue and different, get through some things. And so I want to pick his brain about that. I've got some other brothers that are doing some really cool things, both personally in their lives and within BV circles, that I want to continue to try and reach out to and talk to. I've got a couple guys that I won't say their names, but there's a few people that I've been trying to get a hold of for a while, and I just don't think that it's for them. They just don't want to do it. It may be a little bit of shyness. It may be a little bit of they're afraid, they don't want to come across as bragging, and I understand that. I'm not going to force somebody to, if you don't want to do it, I completely understand. But like I said, I think this is such a great opportunity for people to talk about their chapter, what their chapter's doing, organizations that their chapter's working with, that get out the word about that, and and to be able to hopefully be inspirational to other guys. And like I said, it goes back to guys you just don't realize how inspirational you can be until you just open your mouth a little bit. So,
And I can say firsthand to anybody that cares that if shyness is a factor, there's no better host to open up with than BP here, because he just makes it a very comfortable experience and a great first time.
I appreciate that. I'll be talking you to sleep tonight.
If you can talk the puppy to sleep, that would be just great.
Oh, squirrel. Yeah,
That's about right.
yeah. I know that feeling.
Yeah, I can hear you got some background noise going on there.
Yeah. The studio is in the basement, and every once in a while, the little 6-year-old pops her head out the window or out the door. Ah! So yeah, that's what you just heard. Who knows? She may make an appearance. I don't know.
I was gonna say, is that going to be one of your guest stars now?
Maybe we'll see. People like to see her. That's for sure. She was the hit of one of my episodes when I had her on.
So I see you've got your patches lined up behind you. Do you have your whole room decorated that way, or just the one wall?
I just right now I've got some more over there on the far wall over there. And I've got a whole box full of others. I would like to eventually, I've got a sheet here. Let me do my backwards thing here. I'll flip to this here. Whoops, that's you. So I've got two boards here behind me, and then I've got 3 other boards over there on different walls. But what I'd like to be able to do is actually, I want to create, if you're familiar with sound panels that they use in recording studios and different things, they have the ones that look all fluffy and they look like little mountaintops on them. And then they have other ones that look like just flat panels that deaden sound. So I want to build a couple of those with the deadened panel look, with a flat panel front, and then actually have the patches on the front of those sound panels, so it looks much more professional and kind of stands out. And I want to decorate the walls with those all the way around. So that's the hope, but I don't know if I can fit all of them on here. So that may not be something that I can feasibly do. One of my other options, one of the other things I really want to do, and I'm not sure where it would fit, but they make these maps that you can get, Amazon or wherever else, but it's like, you can stick little pins in it. Most people use it like it's a world map, and most people use them for like, this is where I've been. But I would like to do a map that's, I don't know, 24 by 36 of the world map, and have pins in it, kind of like my map that I have that's online of the different chapters that I've interviewed. So I think that would be fun. And then I would like to also have in that map, then once COVID ends, I want to open up the doors, and the wife doesn't know this yet, but I'd like for this to be like hey, if you're in Northern Indiana, come hang out at the studio. And, I'd also have on the map, a different color of pins for people that have come here from a different location, where they've come from. Fun stuff, man. All sorts of ideas.
So on the topic of visiting, do you guys have any plans for meetups now that the chapter is going once COVID is lifted and you're allowed, or are you planning on waiting a little bit before doing things like that?
Well, if COVID was lifted tomorrow, I'm sure we'd have 5 or 6 guys for sure that would just drop everything and go. I know as soon as our guys are raring to get out there, and ready to get out there in the world and do stuff. So as soon as we're able, I know guys are going to be looking for openings in their schedule to make sure. That's one of the things I know that Indiana has really done. BVIN did really well for us, groomed us really well for that. And that was always participation and supporting other chapters. And that's definitely something we want to continue with Northern Indiana, is that we support the ones who support us. So we're going to get out there and support everybody we can.
I know I was already planning on hitting Michigan again next year. I might have to go just a little bit further now.
It's not much further from where you're going from. Come on down.
Yeah, I just need things to open up a little bit first.
I hear you. I got a seat right over here for you.
Are you planning on coming up this way once you're allowed?
Oh, heck yeah. I had plans for coming up to 2 or 3 different things this year. I wasn't going to, but then when the border shut down, I thought, I don't think I'm going to squeeze through there this time. So if there was a way I could make it up there, I would have. I had plans to come up for the Bucko event, and I was going to come up and visit a couple of the other chapters anyway. So, but that's 2021 now at best. So, but yeah, heck yeah, I'm coming up.
Well, I know you said you're all about Special Olympics. You'll have to come freeze with us for the polar plunge next year if they let you.
If I'm able, man, I'll put my fat butt into a polar plunge pool for sure. I don't know how you guys do it up there, but I've done a lake before a couple times, so I'm familiar.
Ours is jumping off the dock straight into the lake.
All right, I can do it. We had to.
It's about a 6 foot drop, so you're gone, you're buried deep underneath, and you got no choice.
Good deal. I'll take that. That's fun.
And it's second weekend of February, so it's always nice and cold.
Oh, yeah. Good deal. Good deal. I like that, especially when they have to chisel out it from the ice or something like that. That's always fun.
Well, where we do ours, they've got the bubbler system for the cruise ships,
Oh, okay.
and then they try and chip it out bigger. But 2 years ago, it was minus 40 something, and they couldn't. They just pointed out. They were like, "Make sure you jump straight down and come straight back up because we can't give you any more." They chipped at it for about 2 hours, and then came in and said, "Yeah, this is all you're getting."
Wow, that's great. That's funny.
So I think about half the jumpers that year just changed their mind. They were like, "Yeah, no, never mind."
I don't want to come up under the ice. Yeah, I hear you. That's great.
It's good though. They have about a dozen rescue divers right there. So
Oh, good.
worst case something happens, you're covered, but it's still an unpleasant experience.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
We wanted to get a couple guys because the polar plunge here lands on our chapter anniversary.
Oh,
So every year we try and get a couple extra guys or other chapters to come up and make it kind of we'll do the polar plunge and then have a little party after. So we're hoping once COVID lets up, we'll be able to actually turn it into like a weekend long event, get out a couple of those, heartwarming drinks afterwards.
I'll be there if I can. Heck yeah, you bet.
Careful, I'll hold you to that.
I will. I'll hold myself to it. All right, you're right.
Oh, hey. So is there anything else while you're the guest that you would like to talk about, while you would like to get out there, while you're not, stuck sitting in the host seat?
No, I always ask guys is there any kind of advice or inspirational advice? I've got nothing. People hear from me all the time. I'll just say, just as a reminder to guys to stay positive, we have an incredible voice at our disposal, because we travel in very obvious groups and, people look to us, and when they see who we are and they see what we're about, they pay attention. They get past the fear of who are these guys? What are they all about? And so we have a great voice to our disposal, and we can do some really cool things, and we just need to take advantage of it.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. So I think we're about. I don't have any more questions for you on my list.
All right, buddy. Thanks so much. Boom, just like that. We're back. Well, Ben, I appreciate you taking some time out. I know you've had to move some things around a little bit to talk to me tonight, but I appreciate it, man.
You're always worth it.
Oh, no, I appreciate it, man. So we're going to have some fun, and hopefully this is going to be something that everybody's going to enjoy a little bit. And if not, tough.
If not, he'll put you to sleep later.
If not, I will give you the recording, and you can listen to Soothing Sounds of BP. The new podcast. You
got a title and everything.
I'll have the new podcast out next week. So, but man, I appreciate it. Have a great night, and I will absolutely talk to you soon.
All right, sounds great. Thank you for having me again.
All right, see you.
All right, bye.
All right. The soothing sounds of BP. Is that what we want? Is that what we want, people? The soothing sounds of BP. I cracked myself up. Thank you so much, Ben, for coming up with the idea and being the first. Apparently now we have decided during this podcast, this is going to be an annual thing, right? And so, Ben, thanks for being the very first of many each year. I will have on my birthday week, new version of this Ask BP or Turn the Tables on BP with a new interviewee or a new interviewer, I guess, each year. And so, yeah, thanks to Jay for coming up with the idea. That was pretty cool, that we're going to do an annual event out of this. And Pero for suggesting a new interviewer each time. But yeah, So yeah, definitely tell Ben when you see him. Tell Ben, great job. He did a great job with the asking of questions. Definitely reach out to Ben and tell him thanks. Tell him to watch it on the replay. And yeah, for sure. Pero, yeah, you're right. It's official now. We got to do it, right? That's what happens. That's what happens when we're live. When we're live, ideas get processed, and we make things happen. So, guys, such cool stuff. Now, I wanted to touch on real quick. I know the podcast is getting up there in time, but tough. Stick it out for a few more minutes, guys. I wanted to touch on a couple things that I don't think I really spoke very either eloquently about or didn't fully answer specific questions as I come back to the interview as I was listening back to it. But he had asked me about, he mentioned something about, others starting some other podcasts and things since I've, grown with this podcast in the last year or so, and how that makes me feel. And I'm excited. It really, really, really excites me. I'm honored that guys give me credit for a variety of things, but I don't think, I'm, doing any kind of new way of slicing bread or anything. But I've always told guys, I got an open door policy. Give me a shout if you want to start up a podcast of your own. I've had some people reach out to me and say, hey, I would like to, but I don't want to step on your toes. I don't care. Do it. Do you. Get out there and do what you want to do. Talk to the people you want to do. Especially, there's guys out there that have some really cool ideas that are not even BV related. But, I've been doing this now for a year, a little over a year now. And what the nice thing that I can offer is some advice to people that are, if you're interested in doing it, about, if you're not want to do this live stream thing where it's on YouTube, if you don't want to do that, you don't have to. But I can also give some advice on equipment, on gear, different things that you can do to get your podcast up and running in the audio form. And, so you can get up and running and go with that. And so the idea that I'm inspiring other people who might want to do podcasting or live streaming or anything like that, that's exciting for me because, how cool is that? To be able to help others, realize a goal of theirs or a dream of theirs, or be able to help spur something on. So that part of it really excites me. So anybody that ever asks or considers themselves something that they want to do, absolutely throw them my way. And I welcome it. I love it. There's more than enough airtime, more than enough topics to talk about than just for me, for sure. Absolutely, guys. And the other thing too, I was a little bit bothered by the fact that apparently when we did the interview the first time, when he asked me a specific question, I didn't really understand the question because there was a little hiccup in our signal. And apparently it didn't translate to the video because it just looked like I was confused by his question. When he asked me the question about, with mental health awareness and there's different chats and what would you say to guys? I didn't hear part of the question audibly. And so when he rephrased it, I answered him based on the rephrasing. But as you guys know, that has always been a thing near and dear to my heart as well. And I always say at the end of every episode, it's okay not to be okay. And that's something that I've lived in various forms, the way, you can say different things, but I think that it's okay not to be okay is such a great message because it gives people permission to recognize that, we're all broken and we're all broken in different ways. It's like if you take two different pieces of glass and you drop them both on the ground, neither one of those pieces of glass are going to break the same. And it comes down to the force. It comes down to the way that it impacts the ground. It comes down to everything. It's like no two snowflakes are the same. But, we need to recognize and give each other permission to know that it's okay. It's okay for us not to be okay. And that talking to people will help more than you know. And For those people that think that they're a burden, for those people that think that they're a burden on others because of the way that they feel, you don't have any idea how wrong that is, because there are people that care about you. There's people that love you, and they want to talk to you. They want to listen. More than anything, they want to listen with a non-judgmental ear. And so, coming off of last month, talking about it during the month, doing the charity stuff that we did, it's so important for us to recognize this and think about it year round, because we do need to do more. I said that before. We need to do more for each other. But just saying we need to do more isn't enough. So just remember that we are all broken, and no matter what you think you are doing as a burden to other people, what you may not realize is that in the same way that you think you're a burden, somebody else may feel the same way. And it may be that person that you think has it all together. So by talking it out with other people, you may not have any idea that that's what that person needs. You may be the one that thinks you're broken so badly that nobody wants to listen to you. But by talking it out with somebody else, you may be doing more for somebody else than you realize, just by talking it out. We are so much more alike than we know. And you never know what's going on behind the curtain. You never know what's going on in somebody else's life. So that would have been the better answer for me to talk to when he answered that. But unfortunately, I didn't hear it very well. So, Ben, it was a great question. And I hope that answers better to what I would say to people. Reach out. Not only reach out to people to talk if you need to talk, but reach out to other people and leave that door open. Make sure that people know that I'm here. I'll just listen. I'm not going to give advice. I'm just here to listen. And sometimes that's what people need. Because sometimes people don't process things in their head. They don't process them in the way that everybody else does. Everybody's different in that way. And so by getting it out of your head, so many people say this, and not just the people that have depression issues or anything like that, people that are trying to brainstorm ideas, different things like that. If it's stuck in your head and you're constantly thinking about it and you have no way to put it out, just the simple fact of that task of letting it go, getting it out of your head and being able to talk and have somebody listen and just know that there's an ear there to listen to makes all the difference in the world, because you'll get it out and you'll feel so much better for recognizing, wait a minute, maybe they feel the same way. Or, wait a minute, I guess there are people who want to listen. So never sell yourself short of that. Always be available to people. Always make yourself available to other people as well. Hopefully, that's a better answer to that. I hope, guys. Well, thank you guys so much for being here, tuning in. Jay has some great words here, as he always does. Everybody's struggle is different. Not everybody will understand everybody's struggle, but there's always someone out there who will understand your struggle. Absolutely. Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better. So, guys, just be aware of that. Be there for other people. And good times, good stuff. If you are looking for an all-natural beard oil that will not only tame your beard and coarse hairs, but make your beard soft and smell amazing, check out Pulpo Beard Oils. Veteran-owned and made for today's beards, Pulpo beard products combine the best beard ingredients on the market with incredible customer service to ensure your happiness. Whether you need beard wash, beard oil, beard balm, or some fun clothing, Pulpo is the place to go. Feel fresh, feel savage, feel confident with Pulpo Beard Oils. Go to Pulpo Beard Oils, that's Pulpo beardoils.com, and use the code The Heart of a Villain for a discount on your order. Okay, guys. Good stuff, guys. Good stuff out there. I want to thank everybody who has been here live, listening to us, watching us. People that I did not mention earlier because they came in after I already mentioned that, I think. Mark, thanks for being here. Brock was here. Frank and Beans. Oh, somebody's just trying to make me laugh. I love it. Frank and Beans. Oh, good stuff. Guys, if you are still awake and you live over in England, wow, mad props to you. Maybe this bedtime stories thing is something I really need to look into, because maybe I can put you guys to sleep in this way. I don't know. I just don't know. Don't know what to say to that. All right. Well, we don't really have a whole lot of stuff going on with our calendar of events, at least things that I have heard of anyway. Let's put it that way. So if there are other things going on to round out the end of the year here that I do not mention, please let me know. I want to make sure I get that word out, especially guys, if you are doing some sort of a fundraising effort, please let me know. I will pass it on. One of the things I've been promoting and pushing very hard lately was a great idea by one of our brothers who said, let's just start donating to each other's causes, even if it's only $1 or $2. And if we can get everybody to do stuff like that, just imagine the effect and the impact we're going to have. And it's pennies out of your pocket. So today, guys, right now, I'm assuming right now as we speak, the Phoenix Bearded Villains, I want to check out their IG page tomorrow and see if they have any pictures of this. The Phoenix Bearded Villains tonight are doing All Villains Eve, which is the charity pro wrestling show benefiting the Children's Hospital, the Phoenix Children's Hospital toy drive. I always said, how cool is that? A charity pro wrestling show. I do want to see that. I want to see pictures and video from that. That looks like it'd be a fun time. Tomorrow, let's not forget about this now. Tomorrow, up in New York, the Bearded Villains New York Upstate chapter has their polar plunge. Whew. And it's, you know what? I will say this. I think it's unseasonably warm right now up in upstate New York, but I could be wrong on that. So if I am wrong, I'm not trying to call you out, guys, but, every once in a while we like to have a warm polar plunge. So relatively speaking anyway. So if you can chip in and help those guys out a little bit, by all means, hit up any one of the Bearded Villains New York Upstate guys and send some money their way for they're raising money for Special Olympics of New York with their polar plunge tomorrow. Keep them in your thoughts when it's cold out. And then let's see, December 12th, Bearded Villains of Indiana is helping the Twisted Foundation with a toy drive benefiting Alternatives Local Domestic Violence Agency. That's a lot of words for good stuff. 12 to 4 p.m. in Indianapolis, Indiana. Hit up the Bearded Villains of Indiana for further information, or if you have some donations you can help out with this toy drive, absolutely, please do so. That's December 12th. I do know that there's a few other things going on that I don't have dates for. Reach out to the Bearded Villains Ohio. I believe they have a toy drive coming up, but I do not have a date on that yet. They haven't given it to me. Shame on you guys. And I know there's some other stuff going on too that I've heard word of, but I've not gotten confirmed details on. So check out each other's IG pages. Be aware of what everybody else is doing, guys. Absolutely. For sure. We want to help each other out to the best of our abilities. Also, do not forget, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can hit me up on IG or on Facebook or on any one of the various forms that you can find. If you want to listen to any other podcast episodes, head right there, theheartofavillain.simplecast.com. Theheartofavillain.simplecast.com is where you're going to go to get all the good stuff. There's shirts, patches, pins, stuff like that out there, poker chips in the store, and then you can also listen to any podcast episode right there, all previous 56 episodes in there. Good stuff, guys. Okay. Guys, it has been a fun day. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you so much for the birthday wishes. It means a lot to me. It's always great to hear people who wish you happy birthday, even when you're as old as I am. It's good times. It's been a good day for sure. Absolutely. It's been a great week, guys. So stay out there watching out for each other. Absolutely, guys. That's going to wrap up episode 57 of The Heart of a Villain. Remember, as I said, you can still buy those shirts, patches, and pins at theheartofavillain.simplecast.com. I want to challenge all of you guys, as I always do, to be the villain that the world needs you to be. Be the villain the world needs you to be, because as Jay has told us, the heart of a villain never stops beating. Guys, finally, as I always say, remember, it's okay not to be okay. If you are hurting, please find a brother to talk to. Remember, it's okay not to be okay. So for now, guys, have a great week ahead. Enjoy the weekend. Take care. Stay safe.
And now we come together, transformers. So when we meet up, handshakes, brews, and salutes. Every brother is different, fingerprints and attributes. One thing in common with the beard.